Hey guys, Johnny Disc Golf here with Ask Upper Park episode 4. And last episode, I was just joined by the one great Greg Barsby. Now I am joined by two people on Team Upper Park, Mr. Chandler Fry and recent Silver Series champion, Miss Deann Carey. Now, I am so excited to talk to you both, but first, Deann, what's it like to be a champion now? I mean, it's a Silver Series, but it was on live, it was on post. What's it feel like?
It's a lot different. It's a really good feeling though. I just now feel like I have a lot more to prove to try to win another one.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that little bit of stress.
Yeah, I was gonna say it could be like maybe a uplifting feeling, but now it shows that you're capable of performing at the highest level. Where's your mindset? Like we just had Worlds, obviously, you know, the Katrina and Paige show and the FPO division, but where's your mindset relative to these big tour events with the entire field?
I mean, it's just like every weekend. I play with the same people basically every weekend, and I'm still competing. And each weekend, I'm getting higher and higher on the leaderboard,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm feeling very confident about. And I know I just have to wait it out, and my time will come.
No, no question. And then the man sitting next to her, digitally, not so much in real life. Chandler Fry, you're from that area, the Pacific Northwest in general, where she won the Resistance Discs Open. But where are you now? You look a little bit hotter, a little bit sweatier than maybe you would be in Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, I am back in the land of humidity, heat, and bugs, and also amazing disc golf courses. I'm at Delwood, Canyons at the Delwood Park, and this place is magical. You're playing along canyon walls. There's water hazards. There's elevation. I'm here for the Clash of the Canyons this weekend, and Deann's actually here too. She's a little ways away though. If we planned a little better, we probably could have done this together. But yeah, it's. I mentioned before this started, but if my shirt starts going from light green to dark green, don't worry about it. Let's just keep on going. It's just sweat.
Oh
But,
man, no, you mentioned it. Great disc golf out there, and I believe it's Lockport, Illinois, or somewhere right around there. I made
yeah.
a trip there a couple years ago, and to me, it was like my favorite park course that I've ever played. Having
Mhm.
said that, I don't know about having the entire tour there. You know, it's kind of short. There's 27
Yeah.
holes. How is it playing, Chandler, from your eyes for a lot of the big armed tour players that are there?
For sure, there's definitely chances for some longer throws, but most of the longer throws bring in the risk of water hazards.
Hmm.
It's a difference. It's definitely different from the course stops we played so far. There's no ball golf kind of golf out here. It's you just got to hit your line, you got to know your distance, and just execute. It's kind of what I feel like is true disc golf. It's kind of straying away from that ball golf, just bomb as far as you can, and
Hmm.
then about 50 feet for Eagle McMahon or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, Here, you got to hit your lines. If you don't, you're going to get in trouble. So it's quite nice.
Yeah, and one of the unique things I think that happens when I'm talking to you two is, we get a lot of media coverage and a lot of people hear the voices of the 1050 boys, the top players in the world. Kat and Paige in general on the FPO side, maybe a little bit of Haley, but the Silver Series offers an opportunity for some of those players who aren't going to be, top 3, top 5 in a lot of those events to secure points. I know that I talked to you, Deann, earlier in the year, and you were really dedicated to hitting all of those Silver Series events. Is that still where your head's at? Are you going to be hitting every tour event you can, really, to just chip away at that DGPT championship?
Um, I think we're hitting every single DGPT event except for one. We're not playing the
Mm,
Stafford Open, which is a Silver Series.
hmm.
So I'm not as upset with missing that one. But yeah, I'm just trying to get as many points as I can to hopefully try to get a bye.
Hmm. And Chandler, where's your mindset at with the Silver Series? Are you like kind of trying to grind them out and make up for maybe a couple of those not so top 10 finishes?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Dan. I'm just trying to get those points. And also, as you said, these tournaments, you don't have like the Paul McBeths, the Eagle McMahons, the Ricky Wysocki showing up usually. So it's definitely a chance for me to get up there and get some more points. Because when
Yeah.
I'm playing all golf courses, I can't really. I can compete, but I just don't have that 600-foot distance. Not yet at least.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no question. And you know, straying away a little bit from the golf itself on the course, I'd like to get to know you two a little bit more as just like people and as humans. Chandler, I want to maybe start with you. I think one of the things that maybe we bonded on early when we first met each other was the fact that you were just leaving working in education to make a go at professional disc golf. Could you talk a little bit maybe about what you were doing right before you started to make the jump and when you made the jump to disc golf full time?
Yeah, at no point did I stop playing disc golf. I just I was working a full-time job and playing disc golf, which is a lot more difficult than what I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm.
But I was a program manager for a program called Raising a Reader, which essentially just got books into the hands of low-income students and children in like local daycares in my area of Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an incredible experience. I'm glad I did it. But I've always just had this thing in the back of my head where I just like, I'm pretty good at disc golf. What if I were to just go on the road and try it out? And with the support of my family and friends back home, I did it. And so last year was my first one, but COVID kind of shut that down. So I went back home, got another job at Package Disc Golf. But now I'm back on the road for the full time, for full tour. And I'm happy I'm doing it because I'm meeting new people, going to new places, playing some decent golf. The last few weeks have been kind of tough, but it's all about valleys and mountains. And you just got to weather both of them. So here I am.
Yeah, no question. And Deann, it was actually an interesting experience for me because I was making a feature on the two Mondohano sisters earlier in the year, and I was going back through footage looking at when Alexis won AM Worlds in, gosh, I want to say, was it 20? Please correct me if I'm wrong because you're going to know the year. I believe it was 2018. Is that true? Yep. Okay, and then I saw a woman on the card named Deann, and I believe it was Richardson. I'm like, okay, I've never met this person. And then you pop up. Tell me about what that experience was like and maybe your transition into professional disc golf.
Like Chandler, around that time I was working full-time and playing disc golf. It was just something we love to do on the weekends. Mm-hmm. We play all the big events like regionally. And then we started straying more to like the bigger events like AM Worlds. And our first AM Worlds was in 2015. And then we went in 16. And then that's whenever AJ won AM Worlds. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, but it's going to be in our hometown. So I'm just going to say AM for one more year. I want to win that one. Mm-hmm. And I came in second, but it's been a lot different going from the AM/pro side because I was still playing pro at that time. I just wasn't taking cash. It's a lot different going from there to playing disc golf full time. This is all I do. But it's a really good feeling to know that I've worked my way up to that.
Yeah, no question. And, you've, especially lately, it seems like you've actually had some very good finishes. I'm thinking Portland Open, you were, right in the mix early, and I think you were at least even on chase card, lead card, right there in the mix that whole weekend. Where do you feel like you're at and where's your potential? You know what I mean? Like, do you see yourself battling for the win at these big time events in your near future? Or is it more of like a once in a lifetime opportunity that you have the skill to do, but maybe it isn't like your driving urge to be a world champion?
Well, I recently changed my form and that's helped me a lot with getting more distance and consistent, I believe, which is why I've been placing better the last few weeks. No, I just need to put in some more practice and really get some things dialed down. And I feel like I can be up there competing and I have the skill to do it. I just need to fine tune that skill.
No, and one of the hardest parts about being on the road is finding the time to be a professional disc golfer because so much of our time, at least from my own experience, you're a full-time traveler. You're a full-time travel agent. You have to figure out where you're staying. You have to figure out what you're eating and how to maintain a healthy lifestyle to perform. This is going to go to both of you, but let's go to Chandler first. Like, how have you been able to manage or not manage, for that matter, all the responsibilities that goes into being a professional touring disc golfer?
It's tough. This is my first year doing it by myself. So yeah, I am the travel agent. I am the traveler. I am the professional disc golfer. So there's definitely some days where I just don't try to live a healthy lifestyle because I drove 21 hours from Utah to here. Well, And on those days, you just got to drive. And like, I just went to a gas station, got a quick snack, and just kept going. So, but on the tournament days, I definitely try to like get at least one practice run in every day, get some field practice. Then I have a Planet Fitness account. I go to Planet Fitness. Actually, I just started like a week ago. But it's definitely super tough. I'm learning as I go. I didn't plan as well as I should have for this tournament, but I have a place to stay, and it's a host family over in University Park, Illinois. They're fantastic. And so I think what you got to do is just a month before every tournament weekend, you just got to start calling people, asking around where you can go, or just plan like a Airbnb or a hotel with friends. And that's usually my route. But it's tough. I'm learning as I go, and it's tough. I wish I could like Deann. That'd be cool.
Yeah, no question. Well, and to you, Deann, you know, you are traveling with your husband, AJ Carey, so that helps, right? To have like, you know, a partner in crime or a partner in just a late night in a Walmart parking lot, you know, somebody that you can just bond with and not be so alone. But how has been, you know, the transition to a full-time touring disc golfer? You know, how has that been for you?
It's been pretty easy. Well, not easy per se, because like we were talking about, it's very stressful being on the road full time and your constant place. And luckily, this is our third year on the road. So at most of the big is we've secured people that we stay with, so we get familiarity. But other than that, like Chandler was saying, it's hard to find places to stay, and just if you're not traveling and playing disc golf, it's just things that you don't have to worry about. Is, oh well, how am I going to eat this healthy while we're on the road? But if you're not touring, then you have a house. You can just go to the store, buy what you need, and you don't have to think so much about it. But other than that, I mean, it's been pretty easy, especially having somebody with me that definitely helps.
Yeah, well, when you compare it to the 9 to 5, 40-hour a week grind, you know, at least for myself, I'll happily take, you know, sleeping in a Walmart parking lot in Medford, Oregon every once in a while to, you know, not be so locked into a schedule. But one thing, you know, that I think is unique about speaking to you two is that you guys are relatively fresh-faced to the tour. You know, last episode we talked to Greg Barsby, and a lot of that conversation had to do with what it was like before and what it's like now, and kind of comparing and contrasting those two worlds, because there really are just totally different eras and worlds. One thing I'm curious about you two is, what are some of the things that you thought that the tour was going to be like, and then how were those different? You know, Chandler, is there any like, did you think like, oh, it was going to be super easy, and then you discovered, holy moly, I just went 3 weeks without anywhere to stay or a shower? Like, how was it different from how you imagined it?
Honestly, it's kind of exactly how I imagined. The local disc golf community, or not the local, but the disc golf community in America is pretty amazing. They're very open. So I knew that going into it. They're very caring, very willing to help. And so, and I'm obviously, we're not trying to take advantage of that, but it's definitely a resource to use while you're on the road. And I've been playing since 2003, and I've been friends with Nate Sexton for a long time, Barsby and all that. So I just haven't toured. So I've kind of seen the growth of disc golf as far as the touring aspect of it for quite some time. And like a couple years ago, I was just like, I got to do it because I'm 30. I'm not getting any younger. I got some pretty good skills. So the tour is pretty much what I expected. I think the amount of ball golf courses, it's not a bad thing. It's just a different style of golf that I'm not necessarily used to. So I'm kind of getting there. But that's probably the biggest thing that I wasn't really ready for on the road. But yeah, it's pretty much hunky-dory out here.
Yeah, for me, one of the biggest things that I planned for is I got my van, I rigged it out for solar, everything's good. I'm like, okay, I'll put a little workstation in there, I'll be able to work and edit in my van, and then I get to Texas, and it's 85 degrees and humid, and the last thing I want to do is sit in my boxed up van and work. So I mean, I installed solar. I think I used it for like a week and a half. Then I lost the solar panel, and I've never even thought about it since. No. Yeah. So that's me. Deann, has there been like a situation like that? Like, you know, you planned and despite all of your best planning, it just like went in the total other direction.
On band wise, not really.
I would say just tour wise in general. You know what I mean? You know,
Tour-wise,
have you found yourself like staying in strangers' houses and you never thought you'd do that 5 years ago? You know what I mean? Like for me, I'm like staying in a guy's house in Kentucky. I don't know the dude. You know what I mean? Like I didn't see that coming.
me and AJ, we were pretty big in the tournament scene, regionally back home. And AJ's parents have always been very house like, if you need a place to stay, stay with us.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole staying with strangers didn't, I mean, everybody's really nice. We've only had like two instances maybe where we were like, oh, this isn't what we thought. We're gonna go get a hotel room or something like that. But now we have air conditioning in our van, so I'm like, we're just gonna run the generator and we'll be fine. We did that in the truck stop the other night, and it was pretty nice.
Yeah, it sounds great. Well, let's touch on this real quick. Take it off to a lighter note. What are each of yours? And we're gonna start with Chandler since Deann just answered. Chandler, what is your favorite stop on tour, or maybe a couple of your favorite stops? Something that stands out.
Yeah, I think Mile and MacGyver. Unfortunately, it was canceled this year. But sorry about that. Mile and MacGyver Beaver State Fling is definitely my favorite stop of the tour. It's close to home. I can be by my family while playing. I played there. I think I played that tournament 12 times or 11 times now, so I definitely have some history there. And the first course I ever played, I just grabbed some ultimate lids and with my family we went out there at Mile and MacGyver State Park, and I shot like a 500 or something. I don't even know. But my second favorite stop has got to be Vermont. Smugs place is unbelievable. Like with the Brewster and the Fox Run, those two courses complement each other so well, and the environment there, the recreational activities there are just endless. And so that's probably my favorite go-to. Besides,
sure, no, you hit the nail on the head for me with Smugs. You know, that's the place that I usually highlight. But Deann, what about you? What's your favorite stop on tour?
Exactly the same too that Chandler said. We love the Portland area. That just Oregon. We've always said if we move out west, we're moving to Portland. And then Vermont. Vermont's just, it's a special place, and you don't know until you go there how special it actually is.
Yeah, I've always compared. I mean, frankly, I've always compared the two. Like West Coast, Portland, Oregon area is basically like Vermont is the East Coast Oregon, and it does feel very similar with the rolling green hills and just like the energy out there in the woods. Who you saying hi to, Chandler? Who is it?
What's that?
Who you giving nucks to?
Gavin Rathbun.
Okay, friend of the program for sure.
And Zach Finwall.
Okay, that person I don't know.
Boys.
Nice. One answer I've heard also too is MVP Open. Place that I would highlight that maybe other people don't say so much is Idlewild, just because I love the style of golf out there, long in the woods. W.R. Jackson is another one. You could probably tell where my propensity for golf lies, and that's in the woods. But are there any course or like ambiance aside, are there any courses that the golf stands out that like maybe it suits your game really well? You don't necessarily enjoy going to Des Moines, but that course suits you well. Is there a course that like oh man, I can't wait to get Pat because I think I'm going to place really well there? Chandler?
Yeah, honestly, any course that is like heavily in the woods, like Idlewild, you mentioned, Mile and MacGyver's in the woods, Vermont woods. Any course that forces you to like shape your shots and throw accurate and not just bomb every hole. That's kind of because that kind of reduces the need for distance and kind of increases the need for accuracy. And I think that's where my game kind of excels. So I'd say Idlewild is a place that historically I haven't played very well in the past, but I definitely excel out there and do some good things.
Sure. What about you, Deann? Is there a course that maybe you would really look forward to, even maybe on the rest of the schedule? Like, what tournament are you looking forward to that you really have on your list of like, I want to perform well at that one?
There's really two of them. The first one being back in Illinois at Sunset Hills Park. I love that course. It being a ball golf course, but it's a really good FPO course. I feel like it's anybody's game out there. You don't have to throw the furthest, but you have to throw consistently. And then I think my other course would be Hornets Nest Park in Charlotte.
Yep.
That one for the Tour Championship, I'm really excited about. That being basically my home course. I've most amount of golf there, so I feel pretty confident about that one this year.
Yeah, and so speaking of, you know, some of these courses that don't require big distance, they don't require, you know, maybe it's accessible to a few more arms than just the top people. That course that you're at now, the Canyons at Delwood, you guys just drove 20 hours to be there. Is that like, is this like the most dreaded drive in the tour for you? And B, do you think that this is like sustainable? Like, to me, that doesn't seem like a great tour situation. Did you do it just because you kind of had to, or like, how do you feel about maybe some of these longer drives in between tournaments, Deann?
Definitely when we go from East Coast to West Coast and West Coast to East Coast, we try to take that week off as much as possible. Going from Kansas to California, we took the week off and did some sightseeing, went to some national parks. This tournament, I mean, we didn't have to play this tournament, but I really want to try to get as many points as I can. And I've never played this course. It has always been talked about that it's amazing, which it is. We went out and played it yesterday, and it's gorgeous, except for the river is really mad right now, and that needs to calm down before the tournament. But yeah, we did it purely off of, we want to get these points and it's a good time. And so it sucks sometimes, but it is what it is. It's the tour life.
Exactly. And Deann, you're fortunate enough to where you can, you know, split these driving duties with your touring partner, AJ. But Chandler, you mentioned earlier, you're doing this solo, you know, much like the walk you're on right now. But what was that like? 21 hours. I imagine it wasn't like 21 straight. You probably had to take a break. Please, for the love of God, tell me you took a break.
No, I didn't go 21 straight. Had at World, so I left a little early, and I went down to Colorado through White River National Forest, which was a great idea. I kind of used national parks and national forests to clear my mind after a bad tournament, so I added like 5 hours to my drive actually, so it was more like 25 hours. But it's not bad as long as you have some good audio books. I listened to an entire book on the way there called Stamped. It's about the history of racism in America. It was hard to listen to, but eye-opener. So like, as long as I'm doing something like that to enrich myself and kind of take my mind off the fact that I am driving across the country 20 hours, it's really not that bad. Every once in a while I have room. I drive a Prius right now, so I have room. So like occasionally Thomas Gilbert has come with me. It's not always solo, but usually it's just not that bad as long as you have good music or good books to listen to.
No, hit it on the head. I mean, podcast, audiobook, that's like the tour companion right there.
For sure.
Now, Chandler.
Yes.
You just said that you left Worlds early.
Yeah. Biggest mistake of my life. Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about that a little bit. One of the most epic, crazy finishes to any tournament, let alone the most important tournament of the season.
Yeah.
And if I do remember correctly, Deann, you said that you were going to leave right after FPO too?
We did. We left.
So neither of you saw the holy shot, the shot heard around the worlds. Deann, what?
We did not watch it in person, but we were streaming it on DGN Live while we were driving. And luckily, we just stopped at a gas station.
What?
And we were pumping gas. And like right before we were watching it, we had it up. And we screamed so loud that we got crazy looks.
Really? I love it. I saw an article about a gentleman it was in SF Gate, so my hometown article or hometown newspaper, where he was in the waiting room, or he was in his wife had just given birth and he was holding his baby. Yeah, and he screamed and the nurses thought that he needed help. It's such a like visceral reaction. Chandler, did you, like, you said you were in a national forest, or at least on your way to a national forest.
Yeah.
Were you like in a cell hole and then like the next day you pop out and it just discovered this? How did you figure it out?
So I camped at 12,000 feet at the peak, at like the top of the Rocky Mountains, and I had no cell service. I had nothing. And so the morning I came down from the mountain in the morning at about like 6:30, and I get this text from my dad. I was like, "Did you see that?" And I'm just like, what? And I open up my Facebook, and literally like every post is just like James Conrad,
Yep.
and watched it like probably 50 times over and over again. And I definitely wish I was there, because that's history. You
Yep.
know, that was probably one of the greatest shots. That is maybe the greatest shot ever thrown in competitive disc golf. And so I wish I had stayed.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of weird because I was staying with Nate, and Nate's one of my good buds, and I was hoping that he'd take home the win, and I literally had no idea who and where, what, when, how was happening.
Yeah.
Down from the mountains. But it was pretty cool. It's pretty epic.
I would say it's beyond pretty cool. I've got chills just thinking about it. It was truly one of the craziest moments I've ever experienced. And like, I'm embarrassed to say it, but I went full spectator mode. I had a camera in my hand, and I was just jumping, leaping. I have a couple of shots, but outside of that, it was just like screaming for joy and chasing James down the fairway. But you said your dad hit you up about it or texted you. Is your dad involved with disc golf? I mean, you are, so he probably is too. But like, how deep outside of the realm of disc golf did you experience that shot? Did you have like your aunt, who doesn't care about disc golf at all, forward you a ESPN article or something?
No, my dad is very much into disc golf. He plays tournaments. He actually had 2 brand new knees, and so he took a long time off. But he came back and played his first in like 10 years and won it. So he's into disc golf, and he follows me at every tournament, every hole I play. Same with my uncle. And so he was definitely on top of it where I wasn't. But it was cool for him to see it before me, because usually it doesn't happen.
Yeah. How about you, Deann? Did you have any long lost third cousins that know you play disc golf that had to forward you the shot?
Not really.
She's like, nobody in my life cares.
Nobody in my family doesn't, like, they don't really know anything about disc golf. But AJ's parents and his family are they're very into it with us, and none of them play, but they're very, I don't even think that they watched or heard about it yet.
So for you two, you know, I would say, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but like, a lot of the impact of disc golf reaching bigger levels takes time for it to filter down the ratings list, right? To like really impact people who aren't the very top, right? And then the next big bubble hits, and then that next midsection really starts to feel that impact. Like, do you see that moment helping you guys secure a stable future for yourself? Chandler, you're shaking your head. Like, moments like this, to me, what I see is more financial security in the game the second that disc goes in the basket.
Absolutely. I think James' shot not only helped him, obviously, but it helped disc golf in general. It helped every single professional disc golfer there is. Just being on SportsCenter top 10, I think it was number 1. John Boy Media, you know, like some other podcasts mentioned him. I think that's huge. Just people who don't really understand what professional disc golf is, seeing that as their first impression of disc golf, that is absolutely huge, because the excitement, the skill, the focus, just the characters that were involved in that are just you know, and how can you not be a fan of disc golf after you see that? So I think James single-handedly with that shot helped improve the trajectory of professional disc golf in the world, you know?
Yeah, no question. And frankly, we watched the FPO, and I was unsure that it was getting any more dynamic than that. And so I had to like take an hour to like reel myself down in and like, okay, woof. Okay, we got a whole other round. And then I had a whole I'm still not ramped down, and it's Wednesday, and it happened on Saturday.
Like, just really quick, I tend to gloss over Katrina's upshot on hole 8. The skill involved in that shot, incredible. Like with that, like that was just unbelievable. You know, it didn't go in the basket, but still, it required just as much focus, to be honest. And Katrina deserves all the accolades she can get from that as well. Yeah,
absolutely. And one of the things that I didn't notice until later, and we're kind of devolving off of our topic, or talking about you guys here, but Katrina, the disc that she threw is her roller disc at sea level. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people really take into account, is that these historic finishes and these great shots really are with discs that people are using for completely other purposes, not in that weekend. And once I rewatched it a couple times and realized that, it almost like took it to another level. Like it was just a pure in the moment touch feel thing. This is not a shot that she's practiced, 100,000 times. Let me just ask you, Deann, you're in that situation. You take down a world title from the grasp of defeat. Is that a moment you visualize yourself in? Like, do you see yourself in that moment? Is that something that you aspire to, or is that almost even so far-fetched? Like, is that where you're aiming towards?
One day, but I would prefer to win it by a couple strokes and not have all that anxiety. Because I was anxious watching it, because we followed the last few holes of the FPO, and so many emotions. And then I rewatched film and saw actually how close Katrina came to like just staying in bounds. I didn't even know how close it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, whoa.
So when you took down Resistance Discs Open, like you said, you had more than you had 3 handfuls of strokes. How did that affect that final round for you?
So, it was funny because during the second round, whenever I shot the one day, Verizon service completely died. So I had no cell phone service, nothing. I had no idea of any scores or anything. I did not find out that I had a 12-stroke lead until after the round, right before my interview.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't believe it. But I knew Sunday was going to be really rainy. It wasn't going to be an easy day like Saturday was.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew, I have 12 strokes, but this course, there's water on every hole. There's OB on every hole. It's going to be pouring rain. Anything can happen during that round. And so, but I went into the mindset as I want to double my lead. And I went into it. I didn't double it. I got 3 extra strokes, but all in all, it was pretty good.
Yeah, it really, when I was watching all that go down, I couldn't help but think of the Kona Panis Waco storyline. Not exactly the same, right? We're talking about a DGPT Elite Series compared to a Silver Series, the full entire field outside of the Europeans there. But it was dominant, it was impressive, but it was almost like a victory lap down the end. Do you feel just as like you said it, I guess, you'd prefer not having the anxiety of being right in the mix and having to make a shot, but like, would you have preferred to make a putt for the win, or are you happy just laying up, cheers, I'll take 8 holes to go and no real stress?
I mean, a win's a win, so whichever way you take it, it's still great. But I just don't really know how I would take I have to make this putt for the win type of situation, because I haven't been here as a professional on tour yet. I've been in that situation like as a pro back home or as an AM, but I'm not exactly sure how I would handle that instance now. I would hope that I would handle it very well.
Yeah.
But time will tell, and we will find out.
We will find out. I can't wait to see it. Chandler, how about you? Do you like go to sleep at night? Have you at some point, thinking about that moment, last hole, 18, tie game against whatever, call it Sexton. He's the person, he's that person you got to beat, right, in your area. Do you have that thought of like winning a pro tour like that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I go to bed every night thinking that, but I definitely have had that thought. And then, as Deann said, and local professional scene, I have had that shot and I have executed. But I think on the professional, like the touring scene, that's kind of why we do it. We want to be in the position that James put himself in. We want to be there because there's that small little chance that will become legendary, and I think that's what all humans kind of strive to be, remembered and legendary. And so I think I want to be in that position, even though it sounds terrifying. I'm sure Deann too, like we want to get there because that means we're putting ourselves in the position to win, and that's a good thing. And FYI, I have a brigade of lawnmowers just hanging out behind me. So brutal out here.
The audio is brutal, but listen, great or good, the course is going to be spectacular when they're done.
Really quick because they're literally coming right behind me.
Yeah, hit it. Deann, I want to go down to a lighter note, not talking about rings or championships or anything like that. I want to get each of yours favorite aces that you have ever hit. It could be a tournament ace. It could be an ace with 40 of your casual friends from back home around. It could be an ace by yourself on some epic hole that nobody would ever believe you on, and you have the chance to brag about it now. Is there an ace that stands out in your mind?
I aced hole 16 at Emporia Country Club.
What?
Yes. The first round of my first GBO, I walked up and it was me, Kona Panis, and Kimberly Gian. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I'm not sure.
Okay.
And it was right in the middle of COVID, like right whenever we just came back on tour. And Kona walked up, and she was on the box, and she threw a sidearm, and it went out of bounds. And I was like, oh crap, there's a match in here. I don't know what to do. I never practiced in this wind. And I just thought, okay, do what AJ said, throw your leopard 3, just get it on the island. And I threw it, and me and Kona just looked at each other, and then she just screamed because it went in the basket. And I still make fun of people because there were cameras all around. Everywhere. They were right beside of 16, but they were pointing to 18's green because lead card just finished 18.
No.
And yes. And so nobody got my film. They got it. They got me running to go get it, but nobody got the shot. It was great.
Oh my gosh. But we can talk about it here. Congrats. I can't imagine. That's one of the most iconic holes on tour, let alone aces. Chandler, is there anything that stands out, besides the lawnmowers behind you?
Well, I've got to go with the ace that you captured up in Canada and Prince Edward Island at the Canadian Championships in 2018. It definitely wasn't the longest hole. It wasn't the hardest hole. But I think in the situation that I was in, battling for first place, that was a pretty epic moment. To have like the Canadian crowd up there cheering and rooting and everything, and me run up the fairway after giving my big woo,
Yep.
I think that stands out just because it is one of my only filmed aces, and to have it come at that moment, when something needed to happen for me in that round, that was pretty special. And for you to be there and Ian and all that was pretty epic. So
man, I remember it so vividly too. I even remember, I believe you lost a stroke on the hole before, and it put you like 1 or 2 back at the time, and you were back of the box too. And acing on the back of the box is the best thing ever because you can just straight run it down, and that's exactly what you did. I remember it so vividly.
That was pretty epic, yeah. But I didn't win the tournament, but I got a good highlight out of it. Pretty good.
Yeah, no question. Are you going back? In theory, the tournament is going to be back. I don't even know if it's this year, but that's one tournament that I really want to get back to. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, Hillcrest Farms is like top 5 courses for me. It's incredible. I think it was designed by John Houck. It's best course, is one of the fairest courses I've ever played. In the woods, beautiful. The one problem with that course is the mosquitoes. That's the only reason I wouldn't go back. But that's a pretty lame reason not to go back. And I'm definitely in the future, not sure when, but I'm going to make it back there.
Yeah, no, 100%. And actually, now that we're talking about it, that might be on my list of courses. We're talking about favorite courses or favorite stops on tour. I didn't even think to include that, but that is in there. Deann, have you made it up there / have you thought about it?
We played Canadian Nationals in 2019.
Oh, goodness.
And that was the year that Hurricane Dorian hit. On my birthday.
Oh, good.
Yes. We had a local who was nice enough to let us use his house. He stayed with his girlfriend all week, and we stayed at his house, and had no power, but we didn't have to stay in the van for the
Yeah.
hurricane, which was great. But it was crazy to see that a hurricane hit the island and we still played the tournament.
Literally. No,
We
it's
finished the
insane.
tournament.
That is, yeah, that is actually truly insane. And the craziest part about that tournament, and we're gonna wrap this up here in a sec, but the craziest part is there is a time zone in North America 1 hour further than East Coast time.
Yep.
That blew my mind. I'm like, wait, what?
Atlantic time zone. Yeah.
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 Well, guys, we've had a great conversation, but I want to give each of you a chance, to shout out anyone you want to shout out. If you want to thank sponsors, anything like that, maybe, give a shout out to Upper Park or something. Chandler, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, Upper Park Disc Golf, they have the best bag. Like, I've been playing for almost 20 years, and they do have the best bags I've ever thrown. I'm using the Rebel right now.
Mm-hmm.
On Morris is coming back. I'm sorry. 3 trainer bags that I used for my discs, and before that, I was using boxes, which are rigid, kind of hard to store. So those trainer bags have honestly revolutionized my travel. It's a lot easier. Discraft Disc Golf, they're killing it. The discs are amazing. I'm loving them. Wander Disc Golf. My family back at home, my mom, dad, my uncle, they're my biggest support. When I get after a bad round, if I get a call or a text from them, I know it's all good because they still support me. So yeah, and Whale Stacks out here in the muggy climate of Illinois. He's sent.
Yeah, I actually just got my Upper Park bags in the mail at Utah, and I've got my Shift fully decked out now. I'm still going back and forth on the Shift and the Rebel because I think on hilly courses the Shift might have, the Rebel might be a little bit more secure and better for that, but the Shift is so light, and I've been having so much fun with it. Deann, any shout outs, anyone you want to thank?
Yes, of course, Upper Park Disc Golf. I'm using the Rebel as well, and it's been a game changer. This is my first year really messing with Upper Park disc, and they are phenomenal. It really feels like a backpack.
Yep.
When you wear it. And then, of course, Innova Disc Golf, they've supported me for the last 3 years. And all of my family and friends back home. And then, of course, my husband.
Yeah, the biggest supporters. Shouts to Martin over at Upper Park Disc Golf for putting this all together. Guys, that is all I have for this episode of Ask Upper Park. Make sure to tune in and check out all of Upper Park Disc Golf's products and their website to make sure you're up to date on when Ask Upper Park episode 5 comes out. Thanks.